The dust of the frontier carried many secrets, but none as heartbreaking as the story of an Apache woman named Naira, and the cowboy who refused to let the world break her spirit. Before we begin, welcome back to Frontier Echoes, the place where forgotten legends rise again, where courage, love, and danger walk side by side under the burning western sun. If you crave true frontier emotion, settle in, partner, because this tale will stay with you long after the campfire dies. Our story begins deep in the Arizona territory, in a land where mountains cut the sky like jagged knives and red earth shimmered with heat. It was here that Naira lived among her people, the White Hawk Apache. She had been known once as a gifted healer, a woman whose hands worked miracles and whose voice eased the suffering of the tribe. But life, in the cruel way it often happens, had turned against her. Her husband died young, taken by a raid at the edge of winter. And the tribe, desperate for someone to blame, pointed their fingers at her. They called her cursed, unlucky, a spirit who brought death instead of life. Their grief poisoned their hearts until the day came when she was ordered to leave the tribe forever. Banished. Thrown away like a shadow no one wanted to remember. But Naira did not cry. She simply walked into the desert with nothing but a blanket, a small knife, and her medicine pouch. She had nowhere to go, no home, no friends beyond the mountains. Only the hope that the spirits would guide her. But fate had a different plan. Miles away, a cowboy named Colt Harwood rode alone across the frontier. Colt was not the kind of man who bragged about his deeds. Quiet, steady, tall as a desert pine, with the kind of eyes that saw everything but judged nothing. He worked cattle, mended fences, and lived one day at a time, like most cowboys did. But deep in his heart, he hid a loneliness he never spoke of. A ranch empty of family. A life of silence. A soul tired of wandering. On a hot afternoon, while riding near the foothills, Colt spotted something unusual, a figure collapsed in the dust. At first, he thought it was an animal or maybe a wounded traveler. But as he got closer, he realized it was a woman. Her skin burned, her lips cracked from thirst, her dark hair tangled by the wind. She was barely breathing. He dropped from his horse, lifted her gently, and carried her to a patch of shade beneath a juniper tree. Colt had seen enough death to know she wouldn't survive long without help. "Hey, stay with me," he whispered. But she didn't respond. He poured water over her lips, lifted her head, and slowly she swallowed. She flinched, as if returning to the world hurt her more than the desert had. When her eyes opened, they flickered with fear. "You're safe," Colt said softly. "Name's Colt. I ain't gonna hurt you." She stared at him, unsure whether to trust him. "Naira," she finally whispered. That single word, fragile as wind, began a chain of events that would shake the frontier. Colt built a small fire and prepared food. She was too weak to walk, so he lifted her onto his horse and brought her back to his ranch, a modest stretch of land nestled beside an old riverbed. He cleaned her wounds, gave her a place to rest, and kept his distance out of respect. 3 days passed before she gained enough strength to speak fully. Why did you help me?" she asked. Colt shrugged. "Saw someone in trouble. Didn't seem right to ride on." Naira lowered her gaze. "Most would have left me. I'm Apache. And a woman alone." Colt looked at her with gentle honesty. "I reckon a life's a life. Doesn't matter where it's born." Her eyes softened for the first time. As days turned into weeks, the ranch changed. The silence that once haunted Colt now felt warm. Naira helped tend the horses, gathered herbs along the river, and repaired the old garden that had been dead for years. She moved quietly but with purpose, as if working helped hold together the pieces of her broken past. But at night, Colt would sometimes find her sitting alone by the fence, staring at the moon. One evening he asked, "What's both errand you, Naira?" She hesitated before answering. "You gave me shelter, Colt. You owe me nothing. But my tribe, they took everything from me. I can never go back. I have no home. Colt's heart tightened. You got a home here if you want it. Her eyes widened slightly. You mean that? Yeah, he said simply. Everyone deserves a place to belong. Something flickered between them then, something warm, quiet, and full of promise. But peace on the frontier never lasts long. One morning, Colt rode into town for supplies. While at the general store, he overheard several men talking harshly. Harwood's harboring an Apache woman, one said. That's trouble, another spat. Apaches bring death. Mark my words. Colt's jaw tightened. Someone had seen Naira near the ranch. Rumors spread fast. Too fast. By the time he returned, Naira sensed his worry. They know, don't they? She asked. Some folks are talkin', he admitted. But don't you worry. I ain't lettin' anyone run you out. Naira shook her head slowly. You don't understand. The tribe, the White Hawks, they don't forgive. If they believe I brought misfortune, they may come to finish what they started. Colt placed a hand on her shoulder. Let them come. I'll stand between you and any man alive. But the danger didn't come from the White Hawks first, it came from the townsfolk. That night, as the sun dipped low, several riders approached the ranch with torches and rifles. Colt stepped onto the porch, shotgun in hand. Evenin', Harwood, the leader called out. We know you're keepin' an Apache woman. That ain't right. This land's dangerous enough without hostin' them. Colt narrowed his eyes. She ain't hurtin' nobody. Turn around and ride home. We ain't leavin' without her. Naira stepped beside Colt before he could stop her. Her voice was steady, noble, unafraid. If you want me, I will go. No, Colt growled. You're not going anywhere. The men grew restless, muttering among themselves. Then Colt spoke the words that changed everything. You take one more step toward this porch, and you'll be meetin' the ground real fast. The men hesitated. Colt Harwood's aim was legendary. Everyone knew it. After a tense standoff, the riders slowly backed away, swearing they'd return. When they were gone, Colt exhaled shakily. You should have stayed inside, Naira. She looked at him with trembling resolve. You risked your life for me. Worth it, he said softly. Her breath caught. That night, she sat with him on the porch, feeling safer than she had in years. But the next morning brought new danger, this time from the mountains. A small group of Apache warriors arrived, led by an elder named Toka, who once knew Naira well. Colt stepped between them and her, ready for a fight. Toka raised a hand. We did not come for war. We came for truth. Naira stepped forward. Why are you here? We heard you live with a white man, Toka said. And that you are alive. Some believed you died when you were cast out. Others say the spirits kept you for a reason. Naira swallowed. I was banished. I carry no tribe. Toka's expression softened. The tribe acted in pain, not wisdom. The spirits have shown signs. Perhaps your exile was not meant to end in death, but in a new path. Colt watched cautiously. So what happens now? Toka looked between them. Your people fear her fate, but fear grows smaller when a woman has a family. A husband. A protector. Naira's breath trembled. Colt felt his chest tighten. Then Toka said the words neither of them expected. If you marry her, Cowboy, the tribe will see her new life as blessed. She will no longer be a danger to them. The past will be closed. Colt blinked. Marry her. Naira looked at the ground. It would free me from their judgment, but I won't ask you to sacrifice your life for mine. Colt stepped closer, lifting her chin gently. Naira. I ain't doing this out of duty. I'm doing it 'cause somewhere along the way I fell for you. Her eyes filled with emotion. Colt. He took a slow breath, then turned to the elder. If she'll have me, then yes. We'll marry. Naira covered her mouth, overwhelmed. Toka nodded respectfully. Then the spirits smile on this union. The ceremony was simple, held near the river where Colt first brought her to safety. The white hawk symbol was drawn in the earth. Colt placed his hat over his heart. Naira wore a strand of river beads she had woven herself. When they exchanged their vows, Colt's voice was steady. You ain't alone anymore, Naira. Not today. Not ever. And her voice trembled with gratitude. Colt Harwood. You saved me when I was no one. From this day on, my life is yours as yours is mine. The Apache warriors bowed and departed, leaving the couple to their new beginning. But peace still had enemies. A week after the wedding, the same group of townsfolk returned, this time more of them, armed and furious. The leader shouted, We warned you, Harwood. You brought Apache trouble to our doorstep. We won't let savages live this close. Colt stepped forward. She's my wife now. That changed everything. The mob roared angrily. Then you're a traitor to your own. Before they could advance, Naira moved beside Colt, not with fear, but with power. She lifted a pouch of herbs and threw it into the fire pit near the porch. A sudden plume of thick smoke burst upward, white, dense, blinding. The mob stumbled back in shock. Colt fired a warning shot. Next one hits the ground between your boots. The one after that goes higher. One by one, the riders lost their nerve. Between Colt's deadly aim and Naira's sudden show of strength, the mob broke apart and scattered into the night. The ranch fell silent again. Colt lowered his gun and turned to her, wide-eyed. What did you throw in there? She gave a small smile. Just sage, white ash, and a secret I'll never tell. He laughed softly. Remind me never to doubt you. That night, under the star-stained sky, they sat together in peace. For the first time, Naira felt what true home meant, not a tribe that cast her out, not a world that feared her, but the arms of a man who chose her when no one else would. Life at the ranch blossomed. The garden grew greener than it had in years. Horses flourished under Naira's gentle care. And Colt found himself smiling more, something he hadn't done much before she arrived. Word eventually spread that the Apache woman was married, protected, and peaceful. The town slowly accepted it, even if some still muttered under their breath. The White Hawk tribe, now convinced she had followed her destiny, left offerings near the river to honor her new life. One evening, months later, Colt sat with Naira watching the sunset. The sky was painted with gold and crimson, melting into the hills. Naira, he said softly. You ever think about the day I found you? She nodded. It feels like a dream now. A painful one, but also the beginning of everything good. Colt took her hand. You changed this place. Changed me. You gave me a second life, she replied. You gave me a reason to live mine. The wind rustled through the grass, carrying the scent of sage. Naira leaned her head against his shoulder, and Colt wrapped an arm around her. They had come from different worlds, one cast out, one lonely, but the frontier had a way of bringing broken souls together. Their love wasn't born of fairy tales. It was forged through fire, danger, sacrifice, and the courage to stand against the world. And in the Wild West, that was the strongest kind of love there was. As the stars rose above the ranch, Naira whispered, Colt, thank you for choosing me. He kissed her forehead gently. Wasn't a choice, Naira. My heart made that decision long before my mouth said the words. And under the endless sky of the frontier, their story became another echo, one whispered through time, reminding all who hear it that love can rise even from exile, and a banished woman can find her place not through fear, but through the cowboy who said, "Let's get married." If you want more Wild West stories filled with heart, grit, and raw frontier spirit, stay close to Frontier Echoes. More tales are riding your way.